Alright, welcome back, folks, for what promises to be a very interesting episode, as here in episode 66, we're getting a little bit out of the ordinary. As evidenced by, well, part of it you can kind of guess, there's only two cars in the picture. That doesn't necessarily mean anything right away, but believe me, that will make sense in about 15 minutes from now. But first, before we get to the interesting part, let's just head into race one and explain things as they go. And we are green for the first race of the episode, and it is the roulette race. Yeah, I know your eyes aren't messing with you. This is in fact open category here in the first race. And we are at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, for it. Because, for whatever reason, this just seems to be a fated location for all kinds of randomized grid racing. Despite it being one of the more dangerous tracks, and also being one of the hardest tracks to pass at safely, that apparently doesn't seem to stop us here in the Challenge Series. And appropriately, the POV car is the hometown, well, actually hometown hero. She wasn't born here, but one of the local heroes, Isabelle Aspinall, in that fake V8 supercar Mustang of hers. She slowly has to pick her way through the field while navigating the lower category vehicles like Sotokov's 600 class Mercedes back there. Already running P9 at a track that she knows probably better than anybody here. And the other big development with this particular character. Okay, I think you can't. Okay, I'm just gonna wait for the chase to reveal that, because the camera's just gonna fuck with me otherwise. Yeah, we have our third driver here at NFR, and it is indeed Isabelle Aspinall. I had a sudden understanding, a sudden grasp of something, and I guess that involved knowing that Aspinall was going to be key to our team's success. And well, I guess if there's ever a place to find out if that's true, her home circuit is probably going to be one of the best places to find out, which is behind a fellow Mustang Thrasher. Looking for P6 as a couple of cars, I say a couple, like half the field are pitting in. The slower cars have avoided damage, probably because they're not going that fast, and probably a bunch of cars have gotten damage from trying to pass the said slower cars. Go figure. Got a Mustang war heading into turn 2, and I think Isabelle's gonna be victorious. Yeah, a little bit. Meanwhile, there was me, who was losing my goddamn mind here throughout this part of the race, because I am in my 720 class Viper. That helicopter is very loud, and I sat here struggling to get around DeFrisco in his Countach for like a lap and a half. He has just enough top speed to, like, you know, be a problem that I can't just blast ahead of him like I could any other 680 car, because that Countach is probably the best car in the group out of like the whole of 680. Aspinall approaches, having just passed Axel Valentine. And the lines he took down the hill were just like infuriating to watch. Eventually he holds me up for so long that my new teammate ends up overtaking me. At this rate, I assume maybe she'd be able to pass her before I could. Well, I suppose it's been a while since my recording got interrupted by my legal guardian. I gave him 100 to grab something out of a bag and immediately walked back upstairs, which just I feel like I've wasted even more of my time. Bit sketchy through the chase, but I eventually managed to get back ahead of Isabelle, as she was also feeling the burn of being blocked off by Dominic. Difference is that it makes sense that she's stuck behind him, because, you know, she's in the same class as him. I'm not. I should be well ahead of this guy by now. Aspinall has to take to the damn grass just to even get a chance at passing this guy. And I think while he was a little bit thrown off by that, I just sneak my way through. So already the new teammate is paying some rewards. Her mere existence allows me to make an overtake that I apparently couldn't have made otherwise because Dom DePrisco is like the master of defensive driving. The field is quite spread out right now. Like, very much. Futaba shouldn't be here because she got damaged, and she's gonna not be here in about 5 seconds, or Richter's gonna block her. And now she is gone. Yeah, this running order is just beyond scrambled, and, well, Francesca Fidanzi did have a huge lead. If we harken back to the beginning of the lap, she was here in turn 1 as Aspinall was crossing the start-finish, netting basically a 6.5 second lead, which basically just like a sector and a half later, Aspinall had already chopped down to filling her mirrors. So I think Francesca got a little bit conservative, probably assuming she might have had the race in the bag, and took her foot off the gas, metaphorically and literally, and now she's paying for it, as Aspinall takes the lead down the hill. The camera refuses to follow. But yeah, indeed, Aspinall is now the race leader in a 680 class Mustang, so yeah, definitely paying off. Take her to her home track, the one track where she's like one of the tracks where she's like a historical figure at the location for what she has accomplished as a driver here. And yeah, unsurprisingly, she runs the show. Francesca is still there, mind you. It's not like she's left her completely behind, but I feel it may be just a matter of time before she does that. I don't think I've ever seen that camera angle before. As we've essentially just crossed into 2 laps to go. Much like Suzuka last week, this is going to be a 5-lap race. Now all of a sudden Francesca took her foot off the gas so much that not even me and Dominic are that far away. Only about 3 seconds separates me and her, and Dominic isn't too far away. If Futaba finds herself in the pit lane again. Oh, she had it before overtaking him. Huh? Okay, so she had damage here, and she just didn't pit? What? Okay, well now I have no sympathy. Yeah, so as we fast forward back to current time, I should say. And bear in mind now I'm catching Francesca little by little, and she's in a car that's a class above me. Other more devious teams would probably have Aspinall back off a little and push Francesca backwards into me. But this isn't Formula 1, this is the Challenge Series, so that doesn't really happen here. Brian Ice has only now overtaken the 640 class leader. Tomas Pacher has done the same as well, with his own suspension damage again. This is like so goddamn scrambled right now. The cars in last and second from last make sense. But we have Dante Wright and Heinz Richter behind the two 600 class cars. This is a 760 car running 14th. The 640 category leader is in 9th place. I only now realize I was the only 720 class driver in this race. How does that even happen? How does only 720 class only have one driver? So it's about a 4-second lead, maybe 3.5 in hand for the maestro of Mount. I always do that. It's not Mount Bathurst. It's Mount Panorama Bathurst. Yeah, the maestro of Bathurst here, in the form of Isabel Aspinall. Not much battling happening on the track. The field's spread out. Really just do not, but just watch the master at her work, heading down the hill. Relishing the fact that NFR was even able to secure such a skilled driver, because I know for a fact that my team was not the only one that Isabel looked into. She also looked into Pacific Spirit, Atomic Blonde, and Black Stallion Motorsports, but I managed to convince her to join because I think I was probably the first person to actually, go out of my way to contact her. She spoke with representatives of the other teams, but they never actually made a move to secure her, which is what I did, and that's made the difference. As she will head out of the last turn, and on her debut for my team, grabs the victory at her home circuit as the sun falls. Francesca Fidanzi comes home in second, and it is a double podium for NFR and a class victory. For myself, as I literally the only car in my category, Dom DePrisco will absolutely crush the 680 category. And some ways behind, Fernando Fidanzi is going to be the victor in the 640 class. And then the 600 class, Ivan Sodakov wins, beating two cars that are multiple categories above him, Heinz Richter and Dante Wright, who have not had the greatest time since they debuted. Heinz Richter debuting literally last week, and Dante Wright debuting a handful of weeks ago, but he has yet to have his breakout event where he, really does well. Speaking, anywho, with that in mind, let's head into what makes episode 66 so abnormal, I suppose. Alright, and we're green for the second and final race of the episode. Today is game. There's supposed to be a livery on that. Okay, try that again. Now we are green for the second and final race of episode 66. And you might wonder why this is the final race. It's just like a 720 class event. And I mean, you'd be right, that is precisely what this is at Watkins Glen. But look at the replay link. Yeah, we have our first endurance race here in the Challenge Series, a half-an-hour long event here at Watkins Glen. And our POV car for this grand adventure will be Francesca Fidanzi in her F430. I haven't the most incredible concept of what her racing history has been up to this point, but I have a feeling that she's probably not a complete stranger to longer rounds. I know there are certainly people in the field that aren't either. Sebastian Orleans leads the way. Yeah, I know he's probably used to long races like Formula 1 GPs. Głoszczowski's done basically anything that involves a car, so he's probably done one or two of them. Mulsanne is definitely familiar with endurance racing, but she literally grew up near Le Mans. Hikari is used to the slightly longer races at Super GT. Thomas O'Reilly has done long races at DTM. And that's maybe it, as far as I'm aware anyway. Again, don't know exactly what motorsport type events Francesca Fidanzi has taken part in. But either way, this is basically just a regular Watkins Glen race, but with a lot more laps. This is going to be a big moment of truth type thing too, because depending on, you know, how entertaining this is for viewer and driver alike will definitely dictate whether, you know, how often, if ever again, we do an endurance race such as this. Does it provide the kind of action that I can commentate for half an hour straight? Or am I gonna have to, like, improvise the shit out of it after, like, 12-minute mark, you know? The drivers might enjoy it, they probably will. You know, so long as their vehicle makes it the distance, for the most part. Like, you know, for the most part, I feel like if a driver doesn't think they would enjoy an event, they just don't fucking sign up for it. That's just kinda how things roll in the Challenge Series. It's not like, oh, you have to make every race of every season. You're not like contractually obligated to do that, no. If you want to just take a week off and, you know, head upstate or something, or, you know, relax on a beach for a couple of days, or whatever the hell, you don't have to be here. Which just speaks more so to the commitment of some drivers that they are here week in, week out, like Eric Głoszczowski, Stephanie Kaiser, Natsuki Narashi. That these drivers have some of the highest attendance records in the whole of the Challenge Series. Because they basically live for driving. As Stephanie makes her way into P2, only one cross-post sits between her and first place. Seems that whatever tension was going on between Głoszczowski and Kaiser from last week is either gone or it's not significant enough to where it affects current events. Because Kaiser just kind of came on through with no real issues. I think Barbara just might have punted Eric and, oh my word. Yeah, she did. Somehow, she doesn't have damage, but she forced Eric super far out of line, which then forced Brian Ice super far out of line. And he made the immediate rejoin right into Francesca's car. Ooh. No one took any damage there. What? Motherfucker, huh? Mr. Thrasher would be the first to comment, and this is nowhere near the first time that Brian Ice has fucked with a Fidanzi driver. And now he moves Shoji out of the way, or tries, and fails. Now he finds himself under threat from Futaba, who then proceeds to miss the shift and lose that opportunity completely. Barbara and Eric have been battling for a lap or so now. Eric unable to find a way to stay ahead of the Corvette, and the time where he did overtake the Corvette, she just, like, smacked into him and passed him back. I know there's been a push at Atomic One lately to achieve some superior results, as I can't help but notice that that logo is not even on the C8 Corvette. Eric once again alongside the Corvette. Will he get it done this time? And this time he will. And now his teammate Francesca rolls up into his mirror. She will get ahead of the Corvette. And by arcing it in late to the top of the S's, gets a better run to use against her teammate. And possibly against Natsuki as well. Which she will. It's really all that work, and it seemed like it mostly just served the purpose of helping Francesca pull or head on through. Now she's battling with Orleans, and eventually she's able to horsepower her way ahead of the Crossbow. And now, just a short distance up the road is one Stephanie Kaiser. Is the dilemma that this battle for third is about to run into. Natsuki has the horsepower to overtake Orleans, but doesn't have the same handling that Crossbow does. And Eric has the handling to overtake Natsuki, but doesn't have the power that her RX-7 does. Eric is probably faster than both the cars ahead of him, but may struggle to overtake either one of them. Francesca is right on the tail of Kaiser and has a huge run off the S's. She might take the lead right here. And yes, Francesca Fidanzi is the third leader here in this race. Kaiser took it from Orleans, and now Francesca has taken it from Stephanie. Now she need only stay there for the next 22 minutes. Not that long, right? Yeah. I can't even take my own irony seriously. Probably because it's meant to be ironic. As indeed, the time spent stuck behind Natsuki has allowed Brian Ice to have a shot at Eric Wojciechowski. Okay. Ice a little bit klutzy. But for one means or the other, gets the move done. Natsuki tried to sort of fight back, but was not equipped. Barbara is going to now try and take her spot away from Eric. As apparently these two continue to battle, and I think Eric just maybe slightly squeezed Paige there, ever so little. Fidanzi has missed P1, that gives Kaiser a chance to maybe take the lead away, if she, you know, shifts at the proper moment. Now Ice has the cornering and the power to overtake Orleans, so I think he will be in third soon enough. Yep, he gets alongside the Crossbow into the bus stop. And the inside lane prevails? No. Orleans manages to fend off the Diablo. Thrasher got ahead of Barbara, I only assume also into the bus stop, as she was being held up by this, so Orleans has made quite a bit of chaos back here. He's not really doing anything in particular, he's just driving. But he's driving with defensive prowess and really good cornering in a car that weighs less than a ton. Making it hard for cars that don't have the best cornering secure the finish, or to, to grab the position. Ice finally just brute forces his way ahead of Sebastian, who tries to cut back, but cannot. Thrasher will now grab P6 from Eric heading through the heel. Eric almost sneaks a nose in, but cannot quite get alongside at all. Francesca still has not escaped the clutches of Stephanie Kaiser, who's still within about a second or two. And don't give it too long. Ice may be catching them. I'm not sure. Thrasher is now looking to maybe overtake his teammate, Natsuki. I don't actually know who has the advantage here car-wise, because I think Thrasher's is marginally better in both corner and power, but it's not a huge difference. It's marginal, Riker. And they're both, obviously really good drivers, so that's not gonna affect things either. Barber gets a nose in. Eric really didn't need to leave space there, but he elected to, and Barber will once again overtake the 458. And Eric tries to get his own nose in, but can't quite insert the vehicle. Thrasher thinks he has a run on his teammate, heading towards the heel. He's going to try for 2 passes here and 2 laps. Does a bit of curb popping, has to use his teammate up a little bit. But he does make the pass, so he has made up 2 places in 2 consecutive laps at the same turn. Thrasher seems to have found his niche here at Watkins Glen. Thomas O'Reilly, I don't know if he's always been in the picture, but he is right now, as we look at this massive train being led by Natsuki. This train has basically existed the whole of the race. And they just kind of have these 5 in the back, and Michael Krieger in the middle, no man's land. As Thrasher has cleared Natsuki and automatically finds himself at the back of Sebastian Orleans. But Natsuki currently leads a 9-car train, almost 10, because Krieger's not that far away. I am making sudden progress. Being the endurance racer that I am, I know the art of saving my stuff for later. I'll take care of the car in the early going, and it'll take care of you later. Some things you learn as a 2-times ARC endurance champion. Riho Futaba has overtaken Thomas O'Reilly, to which I completely missed. Thrasher also just overtook Orleans, which I completely missed. And Francesca has finally begun to break away from Stephanie, meaning the top 3 are pretty spread out. Thrasher is obviously hoping to catch Ice, don't know if he will. Natsuki has caught Orleans again. I also completely forgot to mention that this is a thing that happened, and there was obviously the visual representation that it did, but I never acknowledged that it did, as Michael Krieger also now finds himself in this train behind us. But yeah, my Viper is back to its retro design, the design I had back when it was on Mercury, basically. Or just, it's the OG Riker Viper, more or less. And the reason for that being, if you may recall, I think it was episode 63, when Natasha Harris got canned for her misconduct, particularly against me. Her attack on me actually ruptured the fuel cell on my original Viper, but Brian Ice and his, I suppose, you know, I guess you'd call it kindness because he doesn't have to spend the money that he does. But basically, like, because what I had done was, and this was a massive help to his team, arranged for, you know, to source a replacement Viper, which I have designed, you know, redesigned to look like the old Viper with some slight changes to reflect, you know, new teams, some new sponsors. I'm being overtaken by Thomas. I don't remember even being ahead of him in the first place, but I am. And it looks like I shall stay ahead of him. Thrasher has indeed caught Brian Ice. Obviously, getting around him is a second, you know, another phase entirely. Francesca's got most of the track to herself at this point. About a 5-second lead in hand. Furtaba's weak brakes causing chaos. They're almost 3 wide into turn 1. Risotto, I've noticed, has been making his way up the field lately too. Me and him are both kind of making our way through at the expense of Barbara Page for the most part. Eric has the slightest run, but Natsuki has that high RPM speed. Rotary engine designed to rev higher and produce more horsepower while doing so. And Thomas is really falling off a cliff. I think he may have worn out his tires with the weak traction that the Cobra has. Tire wear normally isn't too much of an issue because we never do more than 10 minutes of racing, but now we're at the 17-minute mark, and I think some of the more aggressive drivers, like Thomas, are starting to feel the burn, whereas drivers like me, or apparently Risotto, have managed to keep the tires in good shape, allowing us to now make our way up the field. Furtaba's an interesting outlier because she's definitely an aggressive driver. She's wheel spinning at every turn. Case in point. But her lethal acceleration in this Corvette-powered Miata is able to keep her relevant nonetheless. And it's not like her sliding is actually like an evolution of her car's handling. It's been doing that this whole time. So she's probably just straight up used to it. As one engine swap Mazda overtakes the other, and Futaba finds herself in P6. Natsuki tried to take it back, but could not find a lane. As the top 3 are even more spread out. Thrasher, he's like, yeah, he's caught up to Ice, but he's not, like, at his back bumper. He's just kinda a respectable distance, like 1¼ seconds away. They are both sorta catching Stephanie, though. Futaba managed to out-drag Orleans heading into the bus stop. Orleans' best efforts to outbrake her results in a little bit of chaos. Natsuki, I think, just subconsciously followed Orleans' line and lost 3 places from it. A bit of a raw deal for her. I think Barbara Page, who I thought was a less aggressive driver, has also worn out her tires. Because you may recall, not too long ago, she was running like P5, P6. And now she's running in, well, she's trying to hang on to P12 against me. I don't know how successful she will be, especially not when she's stuck behind the weaker top speed of Billy Stuber. And what the Thomas doing? Oh my god, there's just absolute melee, pandemonium at the heel, if you will. There's melee up all the way up and down the field after Futaba overtook. What happened here? So yeah, we had the no. Okay, yeah, we had Futaba passing Eric, passing Natsuki. This mess where Orleans managed to hang on to his position. Futaba wanted to send there, couldn't get it. Brakes on the Miata not strong enough. Mizoto is there. And so how does this develop? Futaba tries a move, gets into the back of Orleans, and because of that, Mizoto spots an opportunity. Takes that spot away. Gets a bit of slipstream, has a bit of horsepower. Futaba's there. They were almost 3 wide. Orleans got split in the middle. Gets absolutely mugged, and Mizoto uses his racecraft to pick up both spots. And then we have Eric also trying to follow them through ahead of Orleans. They make a bit of contact, but he is also ahead of Sebastian. So he has been absolutely mugged here on lap 11. He has gone from P5 to P8 in about 2 sectors. As me and Paige continue to duke it out for 12th place. I'm trying to pass Billy here, and I keep having to contend with this Corvette. It's not helping me. Finally unleashed, I can work on the Cayman, who will have the slight cornering advantage over me, but we're about to be on a straightaway, so that may not matter. Here comes Thomas with his dragster Cobra, doing 190 up to the bus stop, just about. Now Mizoto and Futaba have both caught up to Thrasher, who's fallen away from Brian Ice. Brian Ice is catching Stephanie, and no one is catching Francesca, who's not even a speck in the distance for Kaiser right now. Futaba makes an aggressive dive at the toe on Mizoto. With enough acceleration, she might have just secured the position from that, and she has. Can she also get Thrasher? She'll get to his inside, but he'll have the more stable exit. However, apparently not. Futaba hangs to the outside of him, but nope. She manages to avoid oversteer. She's gonna have to fight on the outside for a second corner in a row, and she does that. So that puts Futaba into P4 after backing Thrasher for 3 turns. That was a mighty impressive move, if I say so myself. Just making the pass at the heel would have been one thing, but then she had to hang on the outside of the exit of the boot and then the penultimate turn to secure the spot. I know this isn't Futaba's first rodeo when it comes to racing, but she's definitely blossomed early here as a Challenge Series competitor. Her brakes may be weak, but not much else is. She's now already catching up to Brian Ice. She's driving with one hand. Seriously. 10 and 2, or at least 9 and 3. No? Okay, fine. Plug you then. I love the fake engine that she's put there on the back. That's not an actual engine, that's just a fucking sticker. But it adds to the character of the car, to say the least. Next is Mizoto trying to grab the spot from the Mach 40, but Mach 40 far and away has better speed in a straight line. Two teammates fighting for 12th. Thomas tops the curb. I think Natsuki's been there before a couple of times. God damn, Barbara, you really have fallen from grace. The bottom 5 are still not really here. Alice Carson, I don't know what's going on with her, but she has no speed. The other 4 at least is kind of hanging on to each other right now, as Sasaki's not having a race to remember here. I don't know, I say that, I feel like just being able to say you were a part of this race, which has pioneered a new race type in the Challenge Series, is something worth remembering. As Stuber and Orleans go at it for 9th place. Oh my god, Futaba is going very fast. There's still another gear in that bastard? Oh my god. Shit. Ice is lucky this straightaway wasn't longer, or he would have been toast. They have both caught up to Kaiser. And Fidanzi is still in the distance. She is... well, she's basically making it at her own pace here. And her own pace is a good pace. You would be forgiven for forgetting that 24 minutes and 48 seconds ago this car started last on the grid. And now her next opponent is barely even in shot on this panning, this wide shot of the corner. Eventually Stuber came out ahead of Sebastian. This is my turn to attempt the same, perhaps. There's a lethal acceleration, but then the brakes have to be applied and Ice is able to retain because that is basically what keeps Futaba's car balanced. It has the acceleration to make a 760 car embarrassed, but it has no brakes. Because, you know, most Miatas aren't really known for doing like 190 miles an hour into a corner. So even the racing brake modification for the vehicle is not really able to stop from that kind of speed. I think Stephanie is, she's lit the fire under her ass. If you look at the lap times there, she ran a 46.4. She's gained some time back on Francesca, who also ran the fastest lap of her race last lap. So everyone's steadily improving the laps, yeah. These two also set personal best on the last lap of 44.9 and a 44.5, basically 44.6 for Futaba. That is a blistering pace. 45.9, 45.8, 46.1. Shoji's fastest lap was not his previous one, and he is one of the very few drivers that is the case for. At some point I overtook Sebastian. While Sebastian is used to endurance racing, he's also probably used to the cars being a little more similar to his. He's a little bit outmatched here due to the fact that he's got a cornering-based vehicle at a track with a lot of high-speed areas. Oh, Stephanie is now chopping away at that lead. That's a 45.9, whereas Francesca only ran another low 47. I think Stephanie might be catching back up to Francesca soon, especially when she misses apex like that. Misses the apex like that. Missed the word. I missed the apex of the sentence, apparently. Another exercise in futility from Futaba. At this point, I feel like Ice is just probably slightly inconvenienced more than like feeling under threat or under pressure. She can't brake late enough to make the pass, so she'll never actually get ahead of him. If she could, there's little doubt in my mind that she'd be able to stay ahead of Ice, but, you know, she cannot. She is unable to. As it looks like we'll soon be arriving at the final lap here at Walker's Glen. Looking at the race timer at 28:20 down there. Which means that, yeah, the next lap will be the final one. Unless we're going to finish a lap in exactly a minute at Watkins Glen. Maybe if we were running the short layout, but not this one. Second, third, and fourth still under a blanket, but not able to find any advantage over the other. Zoto's still hot on the trail. Thrasher, who's leading his own little train of several vehicles. I am attempting to take 9th place away from Billy here at the last gasp. And that lead that was once 5 seconds has now been chopped in half by Stephanie Kaiser. And she's taken Brian Ice and Ryo Futaba with her. However, I feel like it may be too late, as we have begun the final lap, and that is still a 2-second lead. And then obviously she'd have to pass her, you know, no shit. And by the time that Stephanie would probably get up to her, she'd be out of time to do that. Alice Carson, man, I don't know what to tell you. This ain't fast enough. 19th place is out of turn 1. You're in the penultimate turn. Nearly a whole sector behind everybody else in the race. Ferdonzi's still clear by a good 3 seconds as she heads into basically the last heavy braking zone on the lap. It would have been Kaiser's last realistic chance to make an overtake were she closer. And, you know, that's not close. So it shall be a successful half of an hour later. Francesca Ferdonzi will head out of the final turn here at Watkins Glen, and she will claim the victory at the inaugural Challenge Series endurance event here at the Glen. Stephanie Kaiser and Brian Ice will round out the podium just ahead of Futaba, who actually remains P5, holding up a train of 3 other cars. I could not claim 9th from Billy, but still a top 10. Thomas's very up and down race results in 11th, which, considering he's been everywhere from 6th to 16th, he's right in the middle where he's been. And that will cap off a successful inaugural endurance race, I would say. And that is the episode. We don't have time for another race, because the endurance race took a pretty long time to set up, so we just were like, alright, we'll just have the roulette race on Monday, let everyone get kind of prepared, and have the endurance race on Friday. This was also for the case of, we knew that some of the more committed drivers in the series had just run that roulette race. Example, Francesca Ferdonzi, who came second in it. Brian Ice was also there, as was Riho, as I think was... No, Eric wasn't there. I was. And I think... No. That's it. So, yeah, it was just like me... I'm dying. It was me, Riho, Ice, and Francesca that had run the roulette race on Monday. Now, Shoji was there. He was in a Civic. Okay, so there's 5 people. My brain is slowly catching with the program here. But yeah, so like, alright, just give everyone time to rest, because this is going to be kind of a big deal. Going to be in a car for 30 minutes or so straight. And yeah. That is episode 66 in the books. Remains to be seen officially, but I'm thinking that this won't be the last of this race won't be the last of its kind. Because it was actually fun to watch. And if it was fun to watch, it was probably fun to be a part of, unless you're Alice Carson, who was, like, dead in the water. But anyways, until 67.